Things couldn't be going better for Liverpool. Arne Slot's side are flying high in the Premier League, winning games with relative ease in the Champions League, and aside from a pesky defeat to Nottingham Forest, the Anfield club seem to be enjoying life under their new manager, which certainly comes as something of a surprise to fans and critics alike, considering Slot's lack of experience in the top 5 leagues, and the fact that the club spent just €12 million to add Federico Chiesa to their squad in the summer. Even when we account for the €30 million the Anfield club spent on signing Valencia goalkeeper Georgi Marmadashvili to join the club next season, Liverpool still finished the transfer window with a net positive of €5 million, following the somewhat baffling €47 million they made from selling backup players Fabio Carvalho and Seb van der Berg. In what seems like the footballing equivalent of having your cake and eating it, Liverpool made money in the transfer window and also somehow managed to improve on the pitch too, which is truly remarkable when we consider the huge sums of money their rivals have spent in recent seasons to very little success. Slot unquestionably has done this by making the most of the players he inherited from Jurgen Klopp. Mohamed Salah, Virgil Van Dijk and Alisson have all looked like their old selves, while Luis Diaz and Dominic Szoboszlai continue to develop into consistent match winners for Liverpool. But perhaps the most obvious improvement has come in Ryan Gravenberch's game under his new manager at Anfield. Somewhat shunned at Bayern Munich because he couldn't break into the Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka duopoly, Gravenberch then made the move to Liverpool last season. And while Klopp got plenty of use out of the central midfielder as a handy sub off the bench, the Dutch international often found himself playing in an array of positions that never really suited him. He was a jack of all trades but master of none in Klopp's midfield, and that quickly changed under Slot, who has tasked Gravenberch with playing as Liverpool's deepest midfielder and more or less being the club's defensive cover in the middle of the park. Smart thinking for the Liverpool head coach, and a perfect example of Slot making slight tweaks to a team that already performed perfectly well last season, rather than demanding wholesale changes. However, while things are going well for Slot's Liverpool at this moment in time, there are some worrying storm clouds on the horizon that will likely have to be addressed at the end of the season, if not sooner. And when the club do look to deal with said problems, it may explain why the manager and his employers opted for an austere approach to this summer's transfer window, for fear of needing the money to fix a squad that may look very different next season. I am, of course, talking about the older players in Slot's team and Liverpool's reliance on them. While the club can lay claim to some impressive young talents such as Conor Bradley, Harvey Elliott, and the aforementioned Gravenberch and Szoboszlai, most of Liverpool's key players are either over the age of 30 or quickly approaching it. So much so that so far this season, Liverpool have the 4th oldest average age of players that have started games in the Premier League, which is almost 2 years older than Arsenal and Manchester United's averages, and a whole 4 years older than Chelsea's. Indeed, we only need to go through Slot's typical start 11 to quickly spot where the new manager may have issues in the near future. For example, in defence, Slot has 33-year-old Virgil van Dijk as centre-back, 30-year-old Andy Robertson at left-back, and a 32-year-old Alisson between the sticks. As previously noted, Liverpool do have a new goalkeeper arriving next summer, but the only cover for Robertson is Konstantinos Tsimikas, who turns 29 before the end of the season, while the decision to keep Van Dijk at the club this season has only delayed the need to go shopping for a top-class central defender in 2025, and that will likely cost a lot of money. But perhaps the biggest issue is the Salah-shaped elephant in the room. The Egyptian forward has started this season in remarkable form, but will be 33 years old by the start of next season. And while Liverpool fans may be singing his praises now and understandably expect him to play like this forever, there are already clear signs of him slowing down. When we take a look at the breakdown of his goals and assists in the first and second half of each Premier League campaign over the last 5 seasons, we can see a player that was relatively consistent over the course of a full campaign, but is now one that typically has a strong half and a poorer half of the season. Of course, injury and international call-ups play a part in this, but as Liverpool fans will remember from last season, the Egyptian forward isn't made of steel and can certainly suffer from fatigue like any other player his age. If Salah departs Liverpool next season, and it looks more than likely that he will, then that will undoubtedly be the biggest challenge of Slot's managerial talent at Anfield, not only because he'll have to replace the remarkable goals and assists that Salah has bagged for Liverpool over the course of the last 7 years, but also because the Egyptian forward remains a key cog in Liverpool's system, and to date, none of their other forwards have shown any capacity to step up and become the successor in waiting for Slot. In other words, Liverpool have no obvious solution to this problem. Slot does, of course, have other talented forwards in his team, but Cody Gakpo seems to be far suited to a role on the left wing. Diogo Jota is certainly talented enough, but remains a constant injury concern, having missed no less than 54 games in the last 2 seasons alone through injury. And perhaps most crucially, Darwin Nunez has found himself playing a periphery role in Slot's starting 11 so far this season. At this point in time, the Uruguayan international seems more likely to be sold next season than appointed Salah's successor. A lot can obviously change in the next 10 months, and Slot would perhaps argue that he hasn't even got his feet under the desk yet, never mind getting round to turning Nunez or Gakpo into the next Salah. And there's little doubt that Liverpool will have money to spend next year following a quiet transfer window in the summer and the prospect of 2 or 3 of the biggest earners leaving the club. But to replace the likes of Alisson, Robertson, Van Dijk and Salah all in one fell swoop will take something truly special from Slot and his backroom team to accomplish. And in 10 months' time, the Liverpool boss may look back with the benefit of hindsight and wonder whether he should have made some big changes this season. The Dutch manager has done a remarkable job at Liverpool so far, but the real test may be waiting for him on the horizon.